We continue to watch what's happening in Springfield, Illinois. A few minutes ago, the president of the Illinois State Senate said the governor, Rod Blagojevich, should be there in Springfield at this impeachment trial, not off in New York, not off on television, complaining about the process in the media. But the governor is not there. He's in Chicago today, continuing to boycott this hearing. The state Senate heard for the first time portions of government wiretaps exposing what they say are these pay-to-play schemes, including this one between Blago and his brother, who's also his campaign chairman, Robert. Take a listen.
Hey. How we doing?
Good. Talked to Lon, and he says Johnny Johnson's good for it.
Okay.
He's going to give you, no, he didn't get it, but he said, you know, I'm good for it. I got to just decide what accounts to get it out of. And Lon's going to talk to you about some sensitivities legislatively tonight when he sees you with regard to timing of all of this.
Right, but before the end of the year, though, right?
Quotes. Prosecutors also displayed these quotes on these big poster boards from the governor, according to federal prosecutors. Like this one, it says, quote, I could have made a larger announcement, but wanted to see how they perform by the end of the year. If they don't perform, blank them. That allegedly referring to Blago's desire to seek thousands in campaign contributions from a highway contractor. The governor says all this has been taken out of context, doesn't prove he did anything illegal. Patrick Collins is the prosecutor who put the former Illinois governor, George Ryan, in prison for corruption. Joins us now. Patrick, good to see you. The prosecutor, Patrick Fitzgerald's office, the prosecutor in this case, gave the state senators these kind of tidbits of what they have, are hundreds of hours of wiretaps. Why didn't we hear the juiciest parts? The ones about, this is how much I'm going to sell Barack Obama's Senate seat for?
Well, Patrick Fitzgerald, my former boss, basically said in public filings that the reason he didn't give more of it is he doesn't want to compromise his criminal case. And he basically acknowledged he was giving an appetizer to them yesterday with the horse racing tape that we heard and you played a snippet of. So he basically said, I don't want to compromise my criminal case. I don't want you to have access to my witnesses, and I don't want you to have access to the best of my tapes. And that's why we didn't hear them yesterday. Is
the appetizer enough for the state Senate to kick him out?
I mean, it certainly sounds like that's where they're headed. I mean, the Senate president, who in some respects is one of the jurors in the case, is out calling Blagojevich a liar. It certainly sounds like it's a preordained conclusion that they're going to impeach.
Yeah, he's calling him a liar and complaining about this media blitz that the governor has been on. I wanted to ask your perspective because a lot of people have said, you know what he's doing? He's going on national television. He's trying to basically get his message out to potential jurors in his federal case to kind of taint that jury pool. Is that what he's doing, and could that be effective in this method?
Well, you know, it's certainly part of his strategy potentially. I mean, I'm not privy to exactly what he's thinking, but there clearly is people outside of Illinois. I've heard people comment who have just heard him on these shows suggest that he's making some good points about fairness. And there's certainly a segment of the population and potential juror pool who, if they don't know a lot of the details, who don't know these wiretaps, who haven't heard all the allegations, will say, you know what? He's making a point here about fairness that it is something that we should listen to. So that's clearly, and that might be part of what's frustrating the Senate president for him to lash out as he did today.
So you think potentially this media blitz might be working?
Well, I don't know, and we'll have to see. I mean, part of the issue is people's attention spans are very short. His trial is probably a year, 2 years down the road. He has not even been indicted yet. When we indicted George Ryan, from indictment to trial, it was 3 years. So it's a long way down the road, and this may all be forgotten by a lot of people 2 years from now.
Patrick, I want to ask you, too, because you've been appointed to this commission, which basically, you're going to lead this commission, is charged with cleaning up politics in the state of Illinois, ultimately. Where do you begin?
Well, I think, you know, I was a prosecutor for 12 years working public corruption cases in Illinois, and it may be perhaps there's something in the water here in Illinois, but every major public corruption case I worked on had at its core campaign fundraising problems. We hear now pay to play. With George Ryan, there was licenses for bribes. There's always the Government Act and the campaign cash contribution and the melding of the two. So our commission, which just got started last week, is absolutely going to hone in on that issue. Illinois is sort of the Wild West. There are no campaign finance restrictions whatsoever. You can give as much as you want anytime. What we did here on tape, Illinois was about to implement and has implemented this pay-to-play ban, and it was that ban that Blagojevich allegedly was running to beat to get the money in his coffers before the ban took place.
Yeah, It's all about the money, I guess. Follow the money at the end of the day. Attorney Patrick
Follow the money.
Collins.
Absolutely.
Good to see you. Thanks.